We have progressed through the round of 32 for the World Cup, and we've seen some shocking outcomes. We've seen some expected results. And here to analyze everything that's happened, as well as some upcoming matchups for the round of 16, JackChat, who is our soccer analyst for the Sports Geek, going to help us figure out everything that has gone down. Jack, I want to just get in here first before we talk about the games that have happened during the knockout stage. We understand now who missed the cut and who didn't end up making it. We kind of talked about going into last week, in the middle of last week, who could potentially be that unexpected team that misses the cut. But was there a team that you were just really shocked that they were not going to make this bracket, that they ended up missing it?
Yeah, I think, like we said last week, it was hard to tell how the groups were going to end. And I think with the expansion of the competition, there haven't been too many upsets. I think a lot of the lower ranked teams have found themselves at the bottom of the group. And with the third place playoff teams being a bit more lenient, we have had a lot of teams go through. Although Turkey were a big surprise for me. I think a lot of people had them as surprise winners of the group, alongside Paraguay and the US. Obviously, the US performed fantastically. And Paraguay have been that dark pony, as I like to call them. You know, they did so well coming into the competition. I had an inkling that them beating all the big dogs in South America on their route to the World Cup, that they would be a little surprise package. And they actually did knock Turkey out of the competition pretty much, taking their third place spot. And Turkey did get that win on the final day, proving there was something there. But I think, considering they've got two of the brightest young talents and they are a footballing nation with a massive, the Turkish league plays some fantastic football. And yeah, we didn't see much of their young stars, unfortunately. And I think Gula, who we saw, there was a little viral video clip of him saying, we're better than them. Let's show them who we are against the US. And the US just trumped them. And looking back now, it's a little bit embarrassing. But I do think they've got a strong enough young squad for the future. Maybe in 2013, we'll see what they're really about. But yeah, that really shocked me, seeing Paraguay trump them there.
What's not shocking is how dominant France has been. I mean, they're just smoking their way through their competition and looking as dominant as they have against Sweden. Right now, they're also favored. This is comical, the odds for their match with Paraguay. They're minus 1,800 favorites to win that game. So I wouldn't put any money down on that because they're not going to make very much back. But do you think there's any team, if any, that can legitimately challenge France? Because it seems like every single time that they go out there, they're just coasting and they're heading towards winning this year's World Cup.
I think we're in the midst of a real legendary year for French football. And as I said in the earlier videos, when we talked earlier, France look like they have the superpowers. And I mean superpowers in three of the best attackers in the world lining up front for them. It was very reminiscent of Brazil from the past, where, the last two generations that France have had in 2022, they made it to the final, Mbappe scoring in the final. 2018, they won it. It feels like they're going to make it again for a third time in a row. Very Brazil-esque of the past of them. And everyone's been feeling the nostalgia vibes of Ronaldinho, R9 and Rivaldo looking very much like this French attack. Three absolute global superstars, and they're managing to gel on the pitch, which is quite unheard of, to be honest. Usually we get teams in a World Cup where we're like, they've got the best players in the world, but is the chemistry going to be there? It's more about, seeing these links at club level, like I talked about Vitinha and João Neves. They play at PSG every week in, week out, and they're more likely to convert that into the international stage. Well, the France team have clearly done that with PSG, with Dembele and Doué and Kylian, who you also played at PSG in the past. They're sewing it all together in the most remarkable fashion, and I'm blown away. I think we are truly in the middle of, we're watching legacy here. We're watching a legacy. They're building a dynasty. It's quite scary, to be honest. And like you say, at the start of the competition, Spain were the hot favourites to give them a challenge. Spain haven't really turned up. I can't see Lamine Yamal, one man, showing his way to victory this time round. Portugal looks so far off it. I can't see them challenging. There's not many dark horses. You have the top performers and goal scorers in Vinny Jr. and Kane scoring for England and Brazil, but they at times have looked very rough. The only people who I can see stopping this France team are the people who put a stop to them in the last World Cup final, and that is Argentina. And that's they are much weaker than they were 4 years ago, but they are still being led by that little alien they play in the middle. And yeah, if anyone was to do it, it would be Lionel Messi in the final. But I can't see it. They look unbeatable. Who's stopping that? What defense is stopping that attack?
Yeah, the production that they've had with putting up the amount of goals that they've had every single game has been ridiculous. It also felt ridiculous that Germany got bounced in the round of 32. I remember back from the 2014 World Cup, I remember Germany winning it and thinking that, like, oh, they're just going to be one of these teams every year that was going to at least make like a tiny bit of a run, at least advance past that first round. But they're done. Were you shocked that they got sent home?
I'd like to say I was shocked, but I really wasn't. German football is just not in a great place at the moment. They have no identity. They don't know how they want to perform when it comes to a World Cup, never mind the Euros. And it wasn't much of a surprise. I think they were very unlucky in the fashion they went out, because I think Jonathan Tah's goal in extra time being ruled out, it should have stood, really. It was soft. Arsenal have been getting away with that all season. That's, like Jurgen Klopp said, that's how Arsenal scored 60% of their goals this season to win the Premier League. Any other day, any other referee, it probably would have been okay. But unfortunately, they've gone home. And maybe it's a kick up the backside that they need, because German football has been in a bad place since, like you say, from 2014. As soon as they won it, usually you have a bit of a winner's curse next time around. And 2018 was getting knocked out by South Korea was a wake-up call. But they just haven't woken up from that. They, like I say, no identity, no real striker since Klose left. Poor Miroslav Klose's 16-goal record, which was just beaten by Messi, which is now beaten by Mbappe. It looks like Kane's on track to beat that record. That's the last kind of memory of great German attacking football that we all know too well from the past. You know, my dad would always say, Germans, never doubt the Germans. And I said to him, Dad, I think it's about time we start doubting them, because there was nothing going on for them this World Cup. And I think they've got a lot of thinking to do, because they're in trouble at the moment, and they need they can't rely on their past to get them out of trouble.
Now, there certainly was a little bit of doubt for the team that you root for, where you're from, with England, with the way they were playing against DR Congo. They were down at half, and they had never won a game when down at half. Yeah. They ended up surging back. They ended up winning. Harry Kane has a great performance to help them win, and now the sentiment's a lot different. At one point it was, oh, they're cooked, and then now it feels like there's a lot of momentum for them finishing the way that they did. But I've noticed for like the general commentary that there's a belief that maybe Mexico can knock them off, especially them being a host country. England's favored at -140 for their next game against Mexico. Do you think that they'll be able to handle them and be able to move on?
I do worry. I really do worry. Those 75 minutes yesterday were it was the craziest game of football I've watched in a long time. Not just because it was my team at the receiving end of a spanking, I would say, to be honest. DR Congo grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. And it was sad to see, because, I trust Thomas Tuchel as a coach. He won the Champions League for Chelsea. I've seen him perform miracles. And he did pull the rabbit out of the hat at the end yesterday. He made some really great tactical substitutions, flipped the game on its head, and got them out of trouble. However, I'm not sure in the Azteca, with the atmosphere, with the 100,000 capacity stadium, something ridiculous like that. That's a lot of pressure on England. And if their game plan didn't go well against DR Congo, I feel like Mexico are even more of a stubborn team, especially at home, especially in the conditions. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think Mexico are a lot more of an attacking team, and England have the benefit, or Thomas Tuchel has the benefit of knowing his style. And we all know as the competition goes on, England will play more attacking teams rather than teams that sit back in a low block and absorb pressure like the last 3 or 4 opponents have done against England, and they've been stuck for ideas. However, like I say, as the tournament goes on, the teams will look to attack more, and we might find England start rolling a bit better than they have. However, I am worried. I really am worried. I think with the Mexicans behind their own team, El Tri, the atmosphere, we keep hearing about this unbeaten run as well at the Azteca. I think it's a scary sight, but if there was any hope for England fans, it's that injuries are going to start to come back. Saka looks like he could be fit for the next game. Reece James has an inkling that he could be back as well, so the right back problem might not be as much of a problem. You never know. I could see an upset, but there is hope. I do have a little inkling of hope after that last 15 minutes against Congo, as much as it was a painful watch.
Yeah, and the collective sigh, it seemed like, from England fans. I mean, like it was noticeable on Twitter when I was scrolling through after that game. So a heck of a finish. It was also a great finish for the U.S. in the way that they played. A lot of American fans are excited about winning their opening game against Bosnia and Herzegovina, but they lost Balogun for a red card in the second half. Despite the confident victory, being down a man and feeling good about it, it feels like that there's a lot of uneasiness from U.S. soccer fans. Right now, they're favored at -118. I think that that's the betting market moving, because when I checked immediately after, it was even at -110 for both squads. That's just from U.S. fans getting excited and betting on their team. Do you think that not having Balogun could cost them against Belgium?
It's hard to say. I think Balogun, like I say, Champions League proven striker, and he has shown up this tournament, which I've loved to see. And I think he's due a big move after this tournament, which I've really been impressed with how he's performed. And yeah, it's going to be hard to replace that threat from the front, especially with the press and especially with the hard work. But the US team do have goals in them everywhere. I do feel there's a spirit within the team at the moment. As we said, round of 16, this is what we were aiming for here. Any better is an achievement. And I think the players know this. It's so tough to lose a player to a red card over say an injury, because, Leo Messi got away with it a couple of weeks ago. And I know that's the talking point about these red cards. It seems like Argentina are being refereed differently, which is a whole debate in itself. But it is really tough losing him. I think they can still hold on to a bit of faith. With Pochettino's play style, it rewards the wingers as well. We know how good they are. It's going to be tough, though, because watching Belgium last night, Belgium aren't a flashy team like they once were. They're a team hanging on to the dregs of a golden generation. Lukaku coming on again, scoring, managing to score when the chips are down is just amazing to see. It really does, give props to his legacy, because I think a lot of people disrespect Lukaku, and I think, this is a goal machine who shouldn't be disrespected, and he's still doing it at his age. I think it's a winnable game for the US. I wouldn't rule them out. And like I say, getting to a quarter final of a World Cup at home is a huge achievement for the US. I'm a bit gutted Balogun's not going to be there, but I do have hope. Hopefully, Captain America turns up and he can save the day. It's his turn to step up, I think.
We'll see if the U.S. can end up pulling it off, and we'll see what happens for the rest of this round of 32 with the round of 16 coming very, very soon. Folks, do us a favor, comment below. How do you think that the rest of this round is going to turn out? Hit the like button and subscribe on the channel so you don't miss out on future content. We'll catch you later.